The Song of Courage by Anna, Laura, and Leah. Dorothy was a young girl who lived in dry and hot weather in Arizona. Dorothy was always playing with her dog Toto, her best friend. Toto was a small black dog with white paws. He was the only one who she did not fear to talk or sing to. The fear of communicating with anyone would take over and cloud her mind. When she was younger, the kids in school would make fun of her for being an orphan and being adopted by her Aunt Em and Uncle Henry. Dorothy would stay to herself to avoid being made fun of, but soon she'd ask to be homeschooled to feel safe. She loved reading books. There were boxes of books in the basement where she would go and choose a book every time she would finish one. Today was one of the days she needed to pick up and read a new one. While looking through the boxes, she saw a sparkly blue one that caught her attention, so decided to pick it up and read it. She went back to her small room where she sat there and read the book. She spent hours reading this book that was about a land where it snowed all year and there were fairies and little creatures, a little community of happy civilians of Snowflake Land. Dorothy loved the book so much that she wished she could live in Snowflake Town, where it wasn't dry and hot like Arizona, and where maybe, perhaps, all the fairies would not make fun of her. That is all Dorothy wanted, somewhere where she would feel safe and be able to be herself. The next morning, Dorothy woke up shivering. She was so cold that her cheeks were redder than when she would have to talk to anyone from school. She looked out the window and gasped. Everything was covered by snow. Arizona was no longer hot and dry. It was cold and full of snow. She rushed to her Aunt Em and asked, "Aunt Em, have you seen all the snow?" said Dorothy. "Of course I did, sweetheart. The snow blizzard lasted all night long. You fell asleep after reading that long book that you didn't even realize it was snowing," said Aunt Em. Dorothy called out for Toto, but he was nowhere to be seen. She began to panic, thinking maybe he was stuck underneath the snow. She continued to look for him across the snow, but she came across a small igloo. Dorothy poked her head inside the igloo and noticed a tiny elf inside the small igloo. She began to feel anxious. She wanted to ask the elf if he had seen Toto, but she was so afraid to talk to him. She did not know what the elf would say. What about if the elf made fun of her like the kids at her school? She continued to try to convince herself to talk to him when the elf turned around and smiled. "Hello there," said the elf. Dorothy felt her cheeks fill with warmth and redness. Stuttering, she said, "Ah, hello. I'm looking for my dog Toto. Have you seen him?" The elf smiled. "Oh my goodness. Is he a small black dog with white paws?" said the elf. Dorothy quickly replied, "Yes, yes." The elf walked over to her. He noticed her cheeks were so red that he had to ask if she was okay. She said she was fine but wanted to find Toto. "Well, I did see him, but he is not here," said the elf, while looking at Dorothy. "The Winter Queen took him after she created the blizzard. She lives in Snowflake Land. You would have to go there to get Toto." "But there is one thing," said the elf. "What is it?" "I'll do anything for my sweet Toto." To get to Snowflake Town, you must not only walk through the ice path, but also sing to the Winter Queen. She does not return or help anyone without a song being sung to her. As the elf tells Dorothy, she begins to have a clouded mind. The fear of having to sing to someone or even having to communicate with anyone is taking over her body, but she knows she has to do it to get Toto back. The elf tells her the ice path to take to get to Snowflake Land to find the Winter Queen and get Toto back. Dorothy, frightened, begins her journey to rescue Toto. After walking for a while and thinking of how she will face her fears, she hears sounds nearby and notices a white fur twisting around the snow. A snow lion is playing with the snow when he hears Dorothy's footsteps and quickly gets up. "Are you lost?" asked the snow lion. "No, I am not. I am trying to get to Snowflake Land and get my dog Toto." "You must have the courage to go there and sing to the Winter Queen." "I love to sing, but I don't have the courage to sing in front of anyone. I feel embarrassed and afraid. When I was little, I was made fun of for stuttering when trying to sing in front of anyone. So I stopped singing since then," said the snow lion with a sad voice. Dorothy wanted to ask the snow lion to join her to sing to the Winter Queen. She knew she would have to face her fears, and inviting the snow lion could help her feel less insecure and afraid to sing for the queen. She had to do it, for Toto, and perhaps even for her to lose the fear of embarrassment. I think you should join me to sing to the queen. It could help both of us build that courage and face our fears of singing for the queen." The snow lion did not think twice about it and joined Dorothy. They walked the ice path, and soon they saw the snow castle. Both looked at each other with their cherry red cheeks and both nodded and continued walking. Dorothy did not know what to expect. What about if the Winter Queen laughed at her for singing, or if she would notice her red cheeks and notice how anxious she really was? They arrived at the castle, and as they walked to the queen's throne, they were stopped by the Witcher Queen's loud voice telling them to stop. Dorothy and the Snow Lion stopped walking. "I know what you are here for. If you are not able to sing for me, you must leave at once," said the angry queen. "Only the courageous ones will sing for me. They will not be frightened. Once you sing, I will give you what you are here for." Dorothy closed her eyes and felt embarrassed to sing. She knew she had a difficult time talking to anyone, and singing was beyond more than just talking to someone, but she wanted her best friend back. She thought about Toto always being there for her when she would cry after school when she was laughed at by everyone. She also thought about how a simple question and courage helped her have the Snow Lion come with her to save Toto. She knew she could face her fears. So, Dorothy and the Snow Lion began to sing, and the queen was so happy that she brought Toto to Dorothy. She told them they were both very courageous and always to believe in themselves. The queen gave Dorothy a sled to go back home. While she and Toto were on the sled, she began to feel tired and eventually fell asleep. When she woke up, she felt the ray of sun and a hot wind in her face. She got up and saw hot and dry Arizona again. She didn't care because now she knew she had courage and she was able to talk to anyone without feeling embarrassed. The end.